Hi, I decided to do a video today about how to effectively cope with your your issues when you are struggling with betrayal trauma. I have been working in this field for over 30 years as far as counseling, but more recently in the last 4 years with sex addiction. And part of that has to do with the fact that I have my own struggles in my own relationship that was impacted by addiction issues. So I just I just wanted to be able to share a little bit about that, and then also talk about the best ways that um, you know that that I encourage people to engage in order to like start to feel better. Um, so you can probably tell this is like a I don't always do a lot of these, but this is the beginning stages. But I really want to, um, focus in on the three biggest areas where I try to get women and men that are struggling with betrayal trauma. I want to get them to a sense of calmness. And so the number one strategy that I encourage people to do is to actually start engaging in some kind of physical activity. I know that when you first, found out about um, the betrayal, whether it's that it's an infidelity issue, sex addiction, porn addiction, putting their names up on dating apps, going to gentlemen's clubs. There's a variety of ways that a partner can step outside of the relationship, and it's devastating. And so, one of the things that needs to be done is try to figure out how to get your nervous system from this fight or flight, because this is very traumatizing, but how to get from fight or flight down into more of a relaxed state. And if you are, um, the other extreme, which is just to freeze, you don't know what to do. You feel overwhelmed by all of the emotions. Your brain won't stop thinking. Some people just go straight into a freeze response, and then they don't function. So if you're in flight or fight, you might be a lot more argumentative, have a lot of energy. Maybe you're gonna, you know, have have yourself engage in a lot of activities, have a lot of questions, basically, just constantly thinking. It's like there's a wheel going on with just like one question after another, and it's going really fast. It's hard to sleep, it's hard to eat, it's hard to get your day organized. When you do go to work, you're kind of staring into space. When you do, show up to social gatherings, you are detached. You are not making any kind of connections because you've kind of withdrawn. So those are some of the initial things that happen with the fight or flight side. You also might start having more headaches. You might start suffering more physical stresses. So maybe your digestive system gets messed up. Maybe you start having issues with your hormone levels. There's a number of things that get triggered off by stress. The other thing to think about when we're looking at the fight or flight response is, how do you keep it from escalating? And a lot of times people want to ask questions, they want answers, and the person that they're asking these questions to are not going to give you those answers. Maybe your partner is shut down and doesn't want to answer anything, or feels like it's incriminating. The more that they shut down, the more secretive it starts to feel to you, which is what this is all about, right? When you find out, when you have discovery day, it's all about finding out pieces of information that you should have known. You didn't even know that you needed to ask. What were you doing last weekend? Why didn't you come home on time? Why are you changing your haircut, or why are you doing things differently. Like, you may have noticed that there were shifts or changes, but you didn't notice what that was tied to. You just kind of said, okay, he's doing better grooming, or he wants to work out more, those kinds of things. And I'm not saying everybody that does those kinds of things is actually cheating, but I'm just saying sometimes there's changes in behavior, and then you start giving yourself all kinds of, uh, you know, questions and beating yourself up about what you should or shouldn't have done. So that fight or flight escalating could be, directed towards yourself. Like, you could be angry with yourself, or you could be angry with your partner, or angry with a lot of people. Um, the other side I think I talked about was the frozen response. That would be the one where you shut down. You just start maybe crying, or you don't talk, or you pretend that nothing happened. Maybe you go and hide somewhere and hope that nobody bothers you. Find ways to get your kids to go to other places. Um, you know, just try to find ways to get your partner to take care of the household, because you basically have stopped functioning. The fight or flight kind of causes you to have a lot of energy, but the freeze is just like no energy. The sadness, the crying, the difficulty with foggy thinking, the shutdown, feelings, like you don't have any feelings. You want to sleep all the time. There's just so many things that can go into betrayal trauma that impact. And why do they call it betrayal trauma anyway? Well, it has to do with the fact that that word trauma is added on there because this is a crisis. Your world, as you knew it, has now completely changed. When you have huge natural disasters, whatever was there before is not going to be the same ever again. It's going to shift and change into something else. If a hurricane comes, how the city was organized is now going to change because buildings are gone or new buildings are put in place. If there's, a tornado, if there's, excessive rains with flooding, tsunamis, everything gets changed. And that's exactly what's happening with the relationship. It's changing, and you're not really sure if it's going to be for the better or if it's just going to continue to be this living nightmare for you. So, but I did want to talk about effective strategies. So, the first one is exercise. You really don't want to do anything. Maybe you tell yourself, I don't have any energy, or you tell yourself, I don't have any time. I'm going to tell you that even though there's reasons why you don't want to do that, it's pretty important to add in exercise because it helps build up your energy. It also helps reduce the stress levels inside so that you are able to function effectively throughout the day. So exercise increases oxygenation. It allows your body to do its cleansing of any kinds of toxins that build up. Um, so there's a lot of value in exercise. 30 minutes of cardio exercise every day. The Harvard has done studies that came out and said that cardio, 4 to 5 times a week, higher levels of cardio have so many protective factors for the body, especially when there's been a stress response going on. Um, the the second thing besides exercise is considering your sleep patterns. Like, you're gonna either want to stay up, staring up at the ceiling, thinking about things over and over, kind of torturing yourself. And when you're doing that, I just want to let you know that you have to find a way to turn that off. Whether that's that you write in a journal so that you can get things out of your brain, whether you call a friend and you talk a little bit, a limited amount of time. You don't want to spend an hour talking about everything. You want to just be able to say, I need to vent some things, keep a short amount of time. And So also organizing how you sleep. So changing up the temperature of your room so that it's cooler, making sure that there's no lights on, trying to stay um, m- off of like the phones and the iPads and the computers. Try to stay off so that you're not being exposed to the blue light. Blue light stimulates your brain and wants to make you stay awake. And during these times when you've been impacted with a lot of trauma and tragedy, your brain needs to be spot on. It needs to be working as effectively as possible. The um, the other thing that you can do for sleep is maybe also listening to some calming music, or listening to some kind of meditation or deep breathing, or doing a little bit of reading. If you're spiritual, maybe taking time to read your Bible, or maybe you want to listen to some Christian music. Anything that helps you say, brain, turn off. The third area that I get people to look at is not just the exercise and the sleep, is to make sure you're eating healthy. Some people say, well, I eat my feelings, and they start gaining weight. Other people say that, they have no appetite. They don't have any hunger. One gets you a lot of weight and also gets you to feel horrible. The other one gives you, weight loss, but then also means you don't have any energy to move around. Those are two extremes that you don't want to be in. You want to be able to say, hey, I'm going to take care of myself. So taking care of those three areas, those are the top. Now, other coping strategies, one of them is deep breathing exercises. If you go online, you can find all kinds of YouTube videos on deep breathing. But I want to do this short deep breathing exercise with you. And then there's a little bit of stretching. We call this somatic experiencing, because it's encouraging mind and body to be connected. When disaster or tragedy happens, you're either all up in your head or you're all emotionally, physically involved. So we want to start making connections so that you can just be able to function on a day-to-day basis. So I'm going to do the deep breathing exercises, and I hope that you get a chance to do them with me. I'm going to do this first one by myself, and then hopefully you'll do the other ones with me. So it's 5 deep breaths, and it's going to be a deep breath in through your nose, and then a slow, steady breath out through your mouth. And you're going to envision that you're blowing a light feather across the room. And the goal is to keep that stream of air going until that feather gets to the other side. And so basically filling up your lungs as much as you can, as close to the 80-90% fill of your oxygen, and then breathing out as much as you can so that you're cleansing all of the buildup of carbon dioxide that's built up in your system. You just want to get that cleansing thing initiated. So first part is 2 more. Last one. Now I want you to do some baby shoulder rolls. So the shoulder rolls like this. Maybe you hear some cracking in there. Now I want you to reverse the shoulder rolls. I want you to drop your left ear to your left shoulder, and you're just going to roll your head around very slowly, 1 mile an hour, so slow that you're barely moving. And I want you to move all the way around till your right ear's on your right shoulder. Keep going, keep going, keep going. The nice stretch there. And then reverse it all the way back. Take it all the way back to the other side. Okay. Drop your head forward for a nice stretch across the back of your neck. Drop your head back for a nice stretch across the front of your neck. Take the palm of your hand, push it up to the sky, lean to the side so that you get a nice stretch of your rib cage, which feels really good. And then when you are ready, do the other side. Nice stretch across the rib cage. Okay. All right. That is, for a lot of people, can be very relaxing. It's just a good way to turn off your brain because you're just focusing on the actions, and it allows you to just slow down your thinking. It allows you to do some processing of things if you need that. And if you're doing it before you go to bed at night, it kind of gets your brain ready to turn off. If you're doing it before a meeting, maybe you're getting ready to go into something that requires some brain power, doing that deep breathing will rejuvenate you a little bit and will also get you to stop thinking about all the other stresses and worries that you have. There were studies that showed that college students that participated in a training program on mind body medicine and deep breathing, they took a group of medical students, and half of the medical students were taught everything that had to do with mind body medicine, and so they taught them deep breathing exercises, and then the other half were not given any kind of training, and then they sent all of these medical students into their first test together, and what they found out when the test was finished is that the medical students came out and they assessed them and they said, how did it go? Looked for symptoms, also kind of checked about how they felt about what they did on their test. And so the half that learned to do the deep breathing just before they would go into the test, they reported less signs of distress that happened just before they would normally go in to take a test. They felt more confident. They felt more relaxed. They were able to just jump in there, read the instructions, and start answering things. They didn't have any questions. They just kept, moving along. Now, the other half, now those guys had it kind of rough. Those ones actually started having problems with anxiety. So then their thinking was clouded. They weren't able to access the thoughts that they needed to. So when they started looking down at this test, they, felt their heart racing. They felt their breathing, their breath rate increase. Maybe they could feel like this sensation, this rushing up and down the body of energy. And so they go to take the test and they're looking down, they might start to forget everything that they learned. And so when they come out of their test, they're distressed. They reported, feelings of, anxiety, sadness, frustration, just a variety of negative emotions. And then when they talked about how did they feel they did on the test, what they found out is that they actually reported having memory loss, felt like they would write an answer, then go down a couple of questions and go back and change the answer. So they spent a lot of time going back and forth, and they were having a difficult time finishing up the test because they were going back and second guessing themselves so much. So erase, 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 change the answer, go on, and then again, erase, 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 change the answer back because maybe that was the right one. So anyway, um, that deep breathing exercise you can use anywhere. I can remember I went to Walmart and I was in line, and it was like very frustrating. You know what those kind of lines are like, right? So I'm in line, and there's 20 of us in line. It felt like, okay, I was like number 6. And I'm in line, and there's a person with like 100 items at the front of the line. There's a lady with a lot of kids that are screaming and yelling, and it's like midnight. Okay, so to me, it's like I went in thinking I was going to avoid the crowd, but I got news. That's not what happened. So as I was standing there, I was getting more and more frustrated because I was, not going to be able to just run in and run out. So I started like getting really angry and having these like comments to make about like, look at them, why is she doing that, all kinds of stuff. And then I was like, I got to catch myself because I don't want that negativity. And I started thinking a little bit. So I took a deep breath in and out, and I did those a couple more. And then I was able to actually stop and look around and say, wow, the lady at the front of the line, she's sure got a lot of cat food in that in that cart. She must have a lot of cats. So, next person in line, I was looking at the lady with all the kids. That must be pretty hard to feel like the only way that you can get some of the things that you need to get done is to show up in a grocery store at midnight with your kids buying your groceries. Sometimes you just have to do what you have to do. And I just remember sitting there thinking, now, how difficult, you know, things must be for the kids and must be for her. If that's how she needed to get her groceries. So, and when I did that deep breathing in, I just started people watching, looking around, noticing a person and how they were walking, noticing a couple and how they were talking to each other. Like it was a different way of looking at the world, rather than the way I was looking before, which was to be angry and frustrated and overwhelmed and, just a lot of negativity. So, um, another area to recommend besides the deep breathing and exercise is to consider um, you know engaging in some type of social activity. It's at times like this that people will shut down and say, I don't want to talk to anybody. And when you do that, you get pretty isolated, and then you're just left alone with your thoughts. That's when all the negativity jumps in. And your brain will say, nobody wants to hear that. Well, you're not giving yourself a chance to reach out and talk with other people, because that would really help. Being able to look at other people in their eyes, being able to, you know, explain a few things and hear some encouraging words from others is is really highly beneficial. So being able to reach out and connect with friends. Some other things to consider would be meditation kinds of stuff. And that could be meditation in the form of prayer, or it could be meditation in the form of like a body scan where you're just laying, down with, and just steadily listening to this peaceful, calming voice telling you to notice your toes, notice your ankles, moving at a very slow rate of speed, and just trying to get you to be present in your body while you're there on the floor. And by that I mean, and actually by that, what I mean. You're thinking and you can't shut it off, and you're compiling grocery lists and thinking about what you have to do on the weekend and stuff like that. No, just give yourself permission to shut it off. And um, so yeah, so shut off your thinking, and do some meditation or a body scan. Another example of meditation that might be helpful is something called yoga nidra. You can go online and look for it. There's a lot of YouTube videos out there on it. And the yoga nidra, the research came out that showed that about an hour of yoga nidra was equivalent to 8 hours of rest from sleep. So what does that mean, yoga nidra? That are you going to have to do yoga poses and stuff like that? It's not like that at all. The yoga nidra is just a relaxed, you know, relaxing on something flat or on the couch or bed if you want. And your knees are supported, your ankles are supported, and you're just steadily listening to the calm words that are being said. And then when you're listening, it allows you to just completely relax. I can remember being part of a retreat for veterans who had post traumatic stress and traumatic brain injury. And so when they would, you know, have yoga nidra, they were always amazed that they could go at the end of the day and sleep, which hadn't been happening prior to them coming to the retreat. So, um, yeah, those are just a few of the suggestions. There's a lot more that I could offer. Consider reconnecting up with your church. Call some of the ladies that you're with or men, that support you in the church. Um, go sit somewhere quietly on a bench, in a park, or go walking in a park. Spend time on the couch with your animals. Sometimes animals they do a great job of helping you calm down and relax. So, want to encourage you to think about that. So, anyway, I hope that you have gotten something out of here that might help you with the chaos and the trauma of dealing with infidelities, affairs, sex addiction, porn addiction. And I want to encourage you to keep following me. These videos hopefully will get better and better, um, because ultimately I'm doing this because I want to help, and I want to help because I've been there, and I've also worked with a lot of women that have been there, and these things that I talk to you about, I know that they work. I know that they help support you. Some people, it does amazing things, and for other people, it's just a little bit of a change, but something's better than nothing. So, um, follow me, subscribe, consider looking on my website to reach out to me at CherylCamarillo.com, and that's probably down here in the description. And also follow me on TikTok at Sharing with Cheryl, and on Instagram with Hey Cheryl C. So hopefully, um, if you have any questions, you can just send them to me. You can also send them to me at cheryl.camarillo@gmail.com. Thank you. Mhm.